Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
So a week ago, I was sitting in the bank that I had been previously using since 2014, I guess, for my corporate and for individual purposes. And I'm there to close all the accounts.
CX Centric Conversation.
And it's a drag to close the accounts and then to switch banking, right? So I'm sitting there and there's a lady, my banker, and I'm in this, they call it, private VIP stuff. And I'm sitting with her and she knows that I'm there to close my accounts. And our conversation, if that could be called a conversation, of course, goes like this. She looks at me, then she prints out some information. She gives me the documents, I sign them. Then she, prints another document. She gives it to me. I signed it, and it's silent. Never did she ask me why I'm leaving. And also, not only this, she acted like it was, something that happens every day. And it got me thinking over there, because I'm pretty sure that if her boss comes up to her and asks her, why did she leave, or why are customers leaving? I'm sure she will come up with the, beautiful reason out there, but she does not even know it. So it got me thinking, why? Because, I'm helping companies, banks, also from the inside, and I know how hard it is to get clients, right? And I know that we are all so focused on customer experience. We are looking at all points, how we can make them better, and customer journeys and everything. So, but also in this, we're hurrying so much to get everything digital, and we are hurrying so much to get digital, beautiful experience. But I think that we have also forgotten that there's still this human touch, right? And I think that for the future, we will be talking about the future a lot. And I think that those companies, they're not only focused on digital, but also have their human interactions still, if you still have it, because, if you're a bank who does only digital stuff, then it's okay. Then you're an Amazon. You just have this email if you need us, and that's it. But if you still have humans in there, that's a very good question, because I think it's very expensive to keep those humans and have them act or react and talk like robots. So why was I leaving this bank? And that the reason wasn't customer experience. The reason wasn't because their website is beautiful. Their usage of their app is very easy. So everything is great in terms of customer experience as we are used to see it. But I was leaving only because of this banker. Why? Because she was super reactive. Like during COVID, she would not even ask me if I was alive or something. Like she would only sell stuff to me, which I also think is a problem, because that's how managers act, right? When we tell our people to just sell, that's what they do. So now I would like to take that experience and kind of translate it into how we see our way of helping companies to have both this human and digital, but it is more based on the values, right? Let me see and share. I don't have, Jonathan, could you please help me to share the slides, because I don't have that option. I prepared several slides for you, just several slides, because I know that it's Christmas time coming and nobody's really up into, yeah, let's see, now it's good, yeah. Okay, so let's see, you should be seeing it beautifully now. Okay, so what is this new service vision in banking? Now, we were approached by many banks, and the question they're asked is this: Anastasia, we have customer journey, we have customer experience department, we have digital transformation, we have everything, but we feel like we lack a unifying idea, or we feel like every department is doing their own thing, and we don't feel like it is something that is united and where we would have one idea behind the service we are providing, both internally or externally. So basically, this keynote today is more on how do you unite your employees and C-level in providing great internal and external experience or service now. The key word would be now, of course, because I'm sure that you had strategies before, but I also, Jonathan told you that I teach MBA students, and yes, we do believe the strategy comes after the vision. And I know that the vision that banks had before for serving clients internally and externally, when I say internally, I usually mean employee experience, that is probably not relevant for today, because we all talk about empathy, all stuff like that, but how can you, make C-level people and front lines on the same page when you talk about helping the client? So yes, these are several things about me, and thank you, Jonathan, for a beautiful introduction. I will not dive into this. These are some of our clients, and I'm honored to be working with them, even manufacturers. So it's a huge strength now of manufacturing companies to also think not just about customer experience, but also, okay, so are our people all lined up into one vision of how we will be doing this, whatever we are providing, product or service, doesn't matter, but do we have one alignment? So everything I know, I have based on I'm certified by John DeJulia. So this is what I took as a basis for all of my research, and also for everything that I do with other companies. But this was the basis. And I was certified by Jonathan maybe 3 years ago or something, but I have added up so much stuff into this that helps us to help the companies. Now, if you look at this system, and you also have the name of it down there if you want to Google it, we believe that everything in the company, if you want to change, if you have the new service vision, if you want to align your employees into one idea of why you should be serving the clients this or that way, it all starts with the service vision. Now, some of you, again, relate to this as CX strategy, but sorry, I do believe that there comes the vision first and then the strategy. And I will explain what we mean by this, by the vision, and also how we do it, which I'm sure you'll be excited about. Now, this is the notion of service vision, right? So John DeJulia says that this is a true underlying value of why your organization exists and what it brings to your customers. Now, I put it in a very simple way. The service vision, when your people know the service vision, is when you're approaching anybody in your company and you're asking, so what is your idea behind everything that you do in this company when you work with internal or external clients? And they usually should be able to cite their service vision. Now, how to do this so that they not only cite it, because we all know that it's one thing to write things and then to implement, right? How to do this, I will share. But this is the point of this slide, is just to show you that this is something value-based and not just in other strategies that we are having in the company. Jonathan, I think you had in the introduction that I'm a graduate of Disney Institute. I took all the courses that are there because I wanted to know how you guys, do this. What's the secret, and how can we implement this in our organizations? I know that some of you probably are thinking, okay, so there's Disneyland and there is banking. And I do get this, but emotional connection is everywhere. So this is how they put it in a beautiful way, because I know some of you could be confused, like what is vision, mission, service vision, another thing. So vision, they say the vision is a destination where you're going. Now, mission is a transfer to get to that destination. And they say beautifully that service vision is a petrol or gas, if you're in the States, to get there. So service vision should be motivating you, and your people should be giving you the drive, the passion, and especially when you don't have the resource, like, of course, we can have the beautiful service inside and outside when everything is good in the organization, and when client is nice, and when there's no problems and all of that. But what drives your decisions every time you're in the boardroom, And there's also, the alignment and commitment. So this is more about the commitment. So service vision, what is it? Number one, what it is, it's something that unites your people in providing these same levels of internal and external service. Now, of course, there are two sides to this. You have to create it, and there is the whole methodology on how you create it. Number two, of course, you need to be implementing it. And that probably most of the organizations are stuck between 1 and 2 because it is hard to implement stuff. So how to create? Because Jonathan asked me, could you please give some tips? And this is the way we do it, guys. I'm not trying to say that this is the best way or the only way that exists out there, but this is something that we have used with many clients, and it works, and when it works, I want to grab it and use it, right? So how do we usually create the service vision? Of course, we start with the thinking process of C-level, thinking process of executives. So what I love to do, I take them, I get them all together in one room, and then I do something which is Not really relevant to some cultures, but I still insist. We combine them with some people from mid-level and also with frontline people. So we do this mixed group. Why? Because I want us to be grounded. Sometimes, C-level people, executives could make this, beautiful, just rocket science idea, and frontline would just, somebody from frontline would just look at this and say, guys, this is just pathetic words. So you need somebody from also from the front lines. So we do the session in which we try to, using the methodology, we try to push them from thinking that we just provide the product. In banking, like when you ask the guys, what is your price list? That's the number 2 question that we usually ask. What is your price list? And banking guys would always answer, oh, our product is better than the competitors. No. Everybody has products, everybody has services, but what is your price list? I'm sure that because I do work with Visa, so MasterCard has this whole idea of price list, right? It's their marketing message, but we use it to help people in the company kind of shift their thinking from just the products, right? From just the products to, okay, so why are you having this? And what is the prices? People are paying for the product, of course. People are paying for service, of course. But what is the price list for each customer's role? And customers' roles are different, right? And also, one of the favorite things that we do is a day in the life of a customer. Now, before, I was recommended that you just sit down and you kind of make this hypotheses. So, C-level people and then frontliners and mid-level. It's always interesting how they see the day in the life of a client. But now what I do, and I insist on this, and you probably want to use that, I actually send out executives to actually spend a physical day with their client. And we just did this with lawyers, and I had a huge, backup. Lawyers were saying, partners especially, they were like, there's no way we're going to go to a client. They just need to have a service. We don't need to know what's going on in their day. Like, why? And so, but then I gave them all this, the whole idea of why you have to do this, because when you see a day of your client in a bigger spectrum than just asking this interesting question of what can we do better for you, right? We all know that this doesn't work anymore. Now, the result of lawyers doing this, of partners, they have so many insights that now Financial Times is actually interviewing them and asking them, could you please tell us what you are doing right now? Because you seem to be almost the only lawyer company that is actually even thinking about customer service, customer experience, which is interesting, I thought. Okay, so we go through that process. Sessions for C-level, mid-level, and frontliners, all together just in groups. We ask questions like, what is your price list? What are you really selling? And also a day in the life of a customer, because that really helps you to go through what is not just the product. Now, simple question as that, what is your price list? So the client is paying for something, and then he's also getting something for free, right? What is that price list that the client is receiving? And as an example of this, I always use these guys, and I'm sure that it will be a beautiful example that you can look at or use. In New York, I wake up, I go outside in the morning, I see a lot of those trucks, US food trucks. So what does this company do? They just provide fruit and groceries and everything needed for hotels, restaurants, and cafes, right? So they could just say, what we do, we just provide the product in terms of fresh groceries, fresh produce to hotels, restaurants, and cafes. Now, would that motivate their people to provide certain level of service internally and externally? I don't think so. Now, look at what they're saying. They're saying that yes, they are providing the groceries and produce and everything, but they are saying that they keep the kitchens cooking. Now, it's one thing to say it externally. I usually take all of that and I recommend the company to use that externally, to PR it, internally as much as you can. So when a new employee joins the company, you don't tell them we are just selling products. We are selling, loans and saving accounts. I mean, does that make me want to provide beautiful service? I don't think so. Does that want me, share empathy and be empathetic and proactive and ask Anastasia, why she's leaving? I don't think so. But if you say something like, let's just say this, because this is, just the slogan, and I of course understand this, then probably you're much closer to the achieving the desired level that you want. Now, several examples for you to use. Probably not all of you who are here know Chick-fil-A company, but because they're mostly based in the States. But if you, before COVID at least, if you Googled the best customer service companies in the US, you would have the Forbes list, and you would have Chick-fil-A being #1 on customer satisfaction. And then you would have companies like Google, Toyota, and Amazon after them. Can you imagine? So they must be good, right? And I had a chance to go inside that company, interview C-level people, interview like almost everybody, because I wanted to know why they're so cool, right? And everything they're based, everything they do is based on this service vision that you see. And yes, this is their service vision. Every guest is scared like nowhere else. And they mean this for employees and for external guests. Do they have their compass that shows them, which people to hire, what to do, which processes to install, which digitalization to hire? Of course, but they have the compass. And I love this because it gives the alignment to everybody. Good. Now, the bank that we have just worked with, Crédit Agricole, so they have this service vision that we actually have helped them to develop. And it was very hard, believe me, because some banks are still very limited in what they can do, right? There are digital banks that are very flexible. There are old, good, reliable banks that are not so flexible yet. So this is the service vision we helped them to come up with, and it was a process of 3 months. And then, of course, now they're in the process of implementation, and they have compiled the beautiful video, of course, but it's not just about the video. I'll show you the way we recommend to do this. Now, this is the Starbucks one. If you wanted to know, what's the idea behind them. And John DeJulius loves to share that example, how they help them with Starbucks, right? And also that this service vision is inside in their aprons. So every day you come up to work, you put on the apron and you look from the inside and you see that service vision, something that drives you for the day, right? But again, these are just, visual cues, something that helps you visually, yes. But what do you do next to have people change their behaviors? That's a good question. Of course, we collect all the we recommend to collect all the wow ideas, wow stories. I'm sorry, above and beyond stories, right? That is just the tool for that, right? For having service vision installed, and you can have it everywhere. You could be creative in everywhere you can have it, but the question is, does it change the actions? Now, what we see is really changing the actions of people. It's only when they start thinking and then using it, okay? Now, there's a huge gap because we as managers or as top level people, we always think that you come up to the person, you just tell them, do this and don't do that. And they should miraculously do this. That does not happen. So, I'm sure that you all know the psychologists say that first you need to think in one way, then you need to feel in one way, and then you have to, and you only act in a certain way. So yes, it's a huge work to work with the way our people think, but this is how we do this. So, and some of you know this tool, but just ask yourself if you're using this tool to the whole potential, or you're just using it for operational stuff. So simple things like huddles in the morning. Usually they're used for operational stuff. So, what are the things that we have to be doing today? What are the things that we haven't done? What about the clients? What about the products we have? What about the products we ran out of? Now, this is operational stuff and it's good, but this is the best time for you to use these 15, 20 minutes to talk to your people about your service vision, and then ask them, could you please give me examples of what you actually did today or yesterday, which lines up with the service vision. That's when the magic actually happens. That's when you ask a certain person, they start thinking, they're like, oh, really? That sounded so cool. I do know that service vision, for every guest to be cared for like everybody else, or to be helpful, la, la, la. But now they're asking me. So yes, I gotta be thinking. First, I start thinking about this, and then I change my actions, and then I kind of report back, what I did, what worked, and what didn't. Now, this is not just huddles and not just for frontline people. In Crédit Agricole, we are having those meetings in the top level. Executives sit down every week, and they start their meeting with the service vision. And they're asking, what do we know from the last week where we were able to be more helpful? But then they talk about, of course, they talk about processes. They don't just talk about cases from clients or from internal employees. And then they ask themselves, what can we do for our employees, for them to be more helpful? How can we help? This is when the magic happens. This is when we get the feedback like this. Anastasia, a miracle is happening. Our people finally started talking. Our departments finally started talking. and we see the huge change in the way people serve their internal or an external client. So, gosh, I ran over this so fast because I wanted to make sure that you that I'm fast in this. Now, we had a very bad news last week, right? And it was a shock for the whole community when Tony has passed away. And I thought that it was very proper to have this quotation, especially for our session today, because so many times top manager asks, how can you motivate people? How can you motivate people? And that resonates with me so much that yes, first, when you started talking to them about values, when you have the vision, when you repeat it every day and you ask them about the actions, then you don't need any motivation. I'm not saying that you don't have to pay those people, of course, but I'm just saying that motivation becomes as a given. Because people start thinking in a different way. And then when they're thinking in a different way, their actions change. Now, I'm leaving you all of my contacts. If you feel like you have more questions, I can also send you the Calendly, whatever you guys need, but I want to be helpful.
CX Centric Conversation.